Welcome to the coaches meeting. That's the coach. I'm Grant Cohn, and we're going to do a little hypothetical today. If you had to pick one, Chase Young, Brandon Aiyuk, who would you pick? Before we get started, this is just a hypothetical because there is a world where the Niners can keep both, and I'm going to get into that because good friend of the show and someone who's going to be making his YouTube debut tomorrow with the coach, Tom Jensen, who writes for me, all 49ers, si.com/NFL/49ers. He writes 2-3 articles a week. He does a really, really great job. He wrote an article, I believe it was yesterday, breaking down exactly how the Niners can keep both. And I'm going to read exactly what he said. But first, I want to have I'm going to save that. And Tom, if you're watching, love you. But what I want to talk first about.
Love you, Tom.
I want to do this hypothetical, because this is really just going to open the door for Coach to tell it like it is about Chase Young. So, Coach, what are you seeing? If you had to pick one, who would you pick and why?
Brandon Aiyuk, hands down. It's not even close. Right now, if we just want to focus on Chase before we get to Brandon, Chase Young is seeing what he has right now. All right. He's seen this type of defense. Washington Commanders are a struggling franchise, but the number one thing that they do get right and they try to pour all of their assets into is their defense, particularly their defensive front. Before Chase Young got to the Washington Commanders, there were already 4 first-round picks on that defensive line, okay, with great interior pass rushers and run stoppers in Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen. They just picked up Philandro Mathis. They already had Montez Sweat, who came in before Chase Young, but came in later in the first round and thoroughly outplayed Chase Young. All right. One of the things about Chase is he's a great run fit. He has pedigree with great schools and great backgrounds, but there's a reason why he's here. And some of the things that you can see on film is effort, chasing down quarterbacks and chasing down runners, ball carriers, and actually just giving a championship effort. And maybe that's something that we thought could lift his play here with not actually being the tip of the spear or being the number one guy that he was asked to in Washington. But for what Chase Young is giving us right now, he's a depth piece. He's a solid starter, and he's nowhere near the conversation of being able to pour real money into him, right? On top of the fact that he's a pass rusher. You can find that anywhere. This is a position that readily is laying around after free agency in the doldrums of the season and all season. Most of the holdovers year after year after year are pass rushers who are looking for a payday that teams are not willing to put all of their money and their time into, and they pick them up for 1-year deals, 2-year deals, or prove it deals. Okay.
Look at Chase Young right now. That's what he is.
Yes. This is it. Yeah. It's not going to, there's not going to
be another Chase Young next year.
There you go. There's not going to be some type of resurgence. But with Brandon Aiyuk is something that you cannot find, okay? He's trending towards being an elite receiver and being a number one receiver. One of the things about Brandon Aiyuk is that right off the gate, he gave us immediate production. He gives us a true deep threat and somebody who runs the full complement of the entire route tree on an elite level, okay? And he's just getting started. He hasn't even scratched the surface of where he can be as a true receiver.
He can do
everything. On top of it,
he can go over the middle. He can get yards after the catch. He can block.
There you go. Let's stick with the last and the first attributes that you gave. He's tough and he can block. That's something in this offense that's worth its weight in gold. And it's something also that's going to get better. Brandon Aiyuk, to play around with Brandon Aiyuk and his production when it's time to pay him, you would almost lose him just off the disrespect level because there are other teams that really want Brandon Aiyuk, okay?
Imagine when the Chiefs or the Bills.
Imagine what Houston could do with Brandon Aiyuk. Okay, and they're in the market. There's a lot of teams that are looking for a guy to help.
Hadn't thought of that.
Imagine the Ravens with Brandon Aiyuk.
Well, yeah, but like CJ Stroud and Brandon Aiyuk, that would be a huge problem for the league.
That would be a huge problem for the league. Okay,
because you know what D'Amico would do? He would just give Brandon Aiyuk like 180 targets a year, which he deserves. And his production would go through the roof, and he'd have a quarterback who could get him the ball way down the field. It'd be crazy.
Yeah, I agree, Grant. So right now, Chase Young, there's a lot of teams that probably wanted him, and they probably still do want him. There's probably teams out there who are or fans that are listening to what I'm saying, and it's like, man, whatever, sign me up. You can never have too many big blue chip defensive end pass rushers. I get it. But at the end of the day, man, this is a passing league, okay? And if you got one of those guys that cannot be guarded by almost 90% of corners that are sleeping up today, that's a real weapon. And that's something also that you don't want to necessarily get into as far as injuries concerned. Pass rushers get injured more than receivers do. They just do. They have a much more violent tasks to do on the football field, and they wear faster. I would stay on Brandon Aiyuk. And then also, it would kind of be a slap in the face to the front office. I mean, are we really going to prioritize paying somebody else's second overall pick over paying our guy? Like, True. That's another thing too, where it just in a sense where even if we bulk, right, in a sense of trying to pay both of them, Brandon Aiyuk could get pissed off and be like, no, wait a minute. This guy's been here for a cup of coffee and a sweet roll. You guys drafted me. What is going on right now? So,
right.
Yeah, I don't even think the conversation is close, to be honest with you. It's Brandon Aiyuk all day for me.
Well, let's talk. I mean, we don't need to convince people that Brandon Aiyuk's an excellent player who's on the rise. I think what we need to do is talk a little bit about Chase Young. I mean, he's a big name. He was a second pick in the draft. He had 5 sacks when he came to the Niners. I mean, like the last couple games, he hasn't done that much for the 49ers. And it seems like if he's going to require a multi-year contract, it's not going to be that hard to replace his 26 snaps, his 36 snaps. He's playing 50% of the snaps. He had no sacks last week, no tackles, no sacks the week before that, no tackles.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Mean, like the tackles, right? Like he's got 9 tackles on the year. I understand that he's got 40 hurries and 55 pressures with 7 hits. That's cool. And that's something that you can look at in a box. But to be honest with you, that's a package. That's not a complete player.
You know what I mean? 18 tackles in 11 games this year, man. 18, according to Pro Football. 18 tackles?
Yeah.
As a D lineman? Whoa.
Yeah. So at this stage of the game,
action. Yeah.
Yeah, he's big, he's strong, he's athletic, but he's got effort issues. I mean, if anybody wants to go back to the mic'd up that the Niners just dropped, you clearly see Coach Kasarik looking Chase dead in his face and telling him, you need to chase the quarterback and give more effort the entire time. So, it is good. He's making a difference on a very good team, and it's putting us over the hump for what we need in the situation. But I don't want the money's got to make sense. I would love to have Chase Young on our team to see him get better and play under Nick and all those good things. But it's got to make sense fiscally. I don't want to be sitting here wondering why we're not paying our best guys because we want to keep Chase.
I mean, Cleveland Farrell has more tackles than Chase.
Yeah.
Like Javon Kinlaw has almost as many tackles as Chase. And Kinlaw hasn't been playing.
He's a package guy. Yeah. He's a backup package guy.
Mm-hmm. Cleveland Farrell has 20 tackles. Freaking Chase has 18. Cleveland Farrell. So, yeah, I mean, I there would be you could give him an offer, but I wouldn't give Chase that much. To me, he seems extremely replaceable. Is he a better pass rusher than Cleveland Farrell? Yes.
Yeah.
But is he worth $15 million? Like, no.
Yeah.
He's not worth that much.
And to be honest with you, it's really not the pass rush. It's the motor, it's the effort, and it's run defense. To be honest with you, like those are like the biggest 3 things that if I had to pick out of like what don't you like, what's not worth the money. It's like the effort. It's like he doesn't give championship effort at all times. You know what I'm saying? His run defense is not stout.
And the Niners were thinking like, hey, we're a championship team. That he's going to come here and clean up his act. It was just Washington. He wasn't motivated in Washington. Well, or this is
just what you got. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what you got.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So what I want to do is read what Tom Jensen had to say about this. Tom Jensen writes for my site, si.com/NFL/49ers, all 49ers, does a great job. And he addressed this yesterday. So here's what he wrote. Aiyuk is central to the offense, and given his chemistry with Purdy, it would not make sense to let him go. In theory, Aiyuk can be dealt for a first rounder, and then the Niners can draft his replacement. Great talent is readily available in the draft. The NFL has had mixed results with that, though. Minnesota swapped out Stephon Diggs for Justin Jefferson, but Kansas City replaced Tyreek Hill with Rashee Rice. Young is a tougher call with a projected market value of $13.6 million per year. That's a good number to know. The defensive line proved their dominance with a 61.5% pressure rate against Philadelphia. The Niners front office is proven somewhat ineffective at drafting pass rushers, adding to the argument to keep Young. That's a good point. I mean, case in point, Drake Jackson. Despite their spotty D-line draft history, if the Niners let Young and Randy Gregory go, a first-rounder is more likely to be spent at edge. The clear team need, though, is to invest in long overdue high draft picks on the right side of the offensive line. That's a good point. Cap guru Jason Hurley of 49ersCap.com says both Aiyuk and Young can be re-signed without having to move Deebo Samuel. However, that would require Aiyuk and Young to accept long-term backloaded deals of up to 5 years with incentives. The 49ers would also need to restructure deals to make it work, starting with Samuel. Hurley expects the Niners to carry up to $37 million in cap room into 2024, plus another $4 to $6 million in potential unmet incentives. He says restructuring Samuel, Eric Armstead, Dre Greenlaw, and Travarius Ward can save another $43 million if executed before the new league year in mid-July. So it can be done, and it'd be smarter than drafting another edge rusher. First of all, shout out Tom Jensen. That was great.
Hey, man, Tom is class personified, bro.
Yeah, let's talk about, actually, I want to talk about Tom. Before I talk about what Tom Jensen said, I want to talk about Tom Jensen.
Yeah.
So, you don't know who Tom Jensen is. If you read my site, you do. But Tom Jensen was just a guy who started emailing me. And he was so on point. I almost wondered if he was like working for the teams. And he's so generous. He was basically saying, Grant, I like what you're doing. I want to help you. I know more about the draft than you. I know more about a lot of football than you. Take my ideas and use them as your own. He was that generous. And for a while I did. He made my writing more informed. And I wasn't giving him credit because it was like sort of my secret source in my emails. After a while, I was like, this feels wrong. So I told Tom, I was like, Tom, man, you should write for me. What do you say? Like being actual, like, can I publish you? And then instead of him just sending me email, he would have emails to me before the end of before the final whistle. Like, here's what you should say. And like, man, why don't you just write for me? So now he's one of my writers, and he's going to be starting his YouTube channel soon. And he's just a super generous guy that no one knows. And I think it'd be nice to give him some props. He's going to be on Coach's channel. He's going to be on my channel. And again, there's a lot of people who are content creators, a lot of people who want to analyze the 49ers and profit off of 49ers analysis. And you can kind of tell people who consume all of this, people who have original analysis and people who don't. People who have original analysis and regurgitators. He is not a regurgitator. I'll tell you about Tom Jensen. He is not a regurgitator. So get to know him, get to read him. Thank you, Tom. It's a pleasure to be your friend.
Yeah, if I may, just to add a little bit on top of that, Tom has been an amazing friend, resource, mentor that has helped me navigate throughout this entire fan base, and especially in the content creation field. And he puts out some of the greatest perspectives, original content, especially by way of his articles. And we're here to elevate him because we think that he's an amazing addition to what the fans need to hear about the Niners. It'll be a great, original, fresh perspective. And quite frankly, we're tired of hearing Tom's takes all over YouTube. It's time for Tom to put his name behind his takes. So
because
that's
the
what
thing
we
about Tom is like the people who really know and who are really digging and find his stuff realize it's gold right away. Yeah. All of a sudden, you stumbled onto a treasure trove of analysis you can't find anywhere else. That maybe not that many people are aware of, and all of a sudden, just reading him makes you sound smarter. Yeah, and it's like, so it's time. It's time for Tom. He's like the Wizard of Oz.
It's time, man. It's time.
He's like, come from out from behind the curtain, man. So it's time for you to be front center on the stage. So anyway, what he said in his article is that smarter to sign Chase Young than to draft an edge rusher in round 1. I agree, but I think option B would be to do neither. Let Chase, don't give him 13.6. I would not give Chase Young $13.6 million. No, let him go and get the next Chase Young, as you said, the next edge rusher who is kind of a disappointment for his team and, is just hanging around, or he's 32 and he's just hanging around. You can find these guys, 1-year rentals.
They're laying around.
They want to play for the Niners? Yeah, they do want to play for the Niners.
Yeah.
And that's the super chat. No, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing that I wanted to add that you said at the very end is that let's make no mistake about it. Let's not get tilted. Chase is playing with the Niners, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Okay. He's happy and thrilled to be here, right? Him being here is a revitalization of his career. Okay.
Yeah.
Like he could be tucked away on a no-win playoff team right now and nobody would care. It's the truth.
Yep. I don't know why my stream is messed up right now, but we'll try to power through it. Jackson says, you compare CMC to Marshall Faulk. You forgot about Roger Craig. I've been a Niner fan since 1979. I was stationed up north, USAF. 1980, and I would go to the games. I was there for Montana rookie season. Well, I wasn't, man. I was born in 88. But all I'm saying is, from what I've seen, like Roger Craig, my comparison for Roger Craig is Debo. 6 feet, 220, high knees, hard to bring down, violent runner. I compare McCaffrey more to Marshall Faulk. Yeah, just a little bit more slender. I think it's a good comparison personally, but Roger Craig, great.
Watch Chris Thompson at FSU before he broke his back. He was the truth.
All right. Chris Tallarico says they should try to re-sign Brandon Aiyuk. They're just going to spend that first on a D-line anyway. But if they win the Super Bowl, BA might want to get that bag since he's going to have his ring.
That's a good point. Negotiating with a Super Bowl champion is a completely different ball game.
Dude, he's going to make so much money.
What do you think?
What is wrong with my
25?
Absolutely. And it seems like he's worth it. It's just like, man, if you give all that money, can you give him all that money and then re-sign Brock Purdy? Or is it like once you lock yourself into like 25 million for one wide receiver, 24 for another, 15 for your tight end, 16 for your running back, at what point can you even really have how much money you have left for Brock Purdy? But I guess that's down the line.
Yeah, the way I see it is that the biggest things that are going to get phased out is Trent's money when we replace him.
Yep.
We're going to get a little younger in the offensive line. We may surprise everybody and pick up like a second-round pick lineman. But if we pay BA, right, and pay Brock, the biggest guy that's going to be left out is Christian McCaffrey. We're going to have to actually go get a running back that we don't pay $17 million a year for.
I want to say something else, too. I feel like it's about time that the Niners, if they really think Brock Purdy's the real deal, if he's really an MVP candidate and someone they can win a Super Bowl with, maybe it's time to like stop building through the defense, because to me, that's something you do when you don't have a franchise quarterback. I'm just saying, like, it's great to have a great, I'm just saying, like, Lobs All Day came on the show yesterday and made a point, think about how good this team would be, how good Brock would be if they had a top 10 O-line.
Yeah.
Why don't you have that? Why are you more invested in your D-line than your O-line when you have a special quarterback and special weapons? Seems to me you're not even a special offensive line, but an above average offensive line away from having the best offense in the league. And you should start to embrace yourself as an offensive team. Why would you not with a quarterback like this, right? He's an MVP candidate. You're not a defensive team anymore. You're only a defensive team when you have Jimmy Garoppolo as a quarterback.
I agree with that 100. I agree with that 100%, Grant. And I feel like Brock's progression is going to force their hand. It's good. Like the better Brock gets and the more success. We say that wins isn't a quarterback stat, but I'm going to tell you, it's hard to differentiate one from another when you're actually a fan of the team. So as long as we keep winning and Brock keeps pumping out these performances and actually puts time on task and is maturing in front of us, which he is doing already, after a while, fans are going to start saying like, yo, it's not enough that your scheme calls for offensive linemen that are small and that can't necessarily be good in drop back protection. Like that's not enough. We got to protect Brock now. So yeah. I am kind of I'm eager to see how Brock becoming the most right now. This is what's crazy. Brock's not the most important asset in this offense. Christian McCaffrey is. Right. Let's see how this offense is ran when it's Brock is the asset now.
Well, if you want that to happen, then invest in the O-line.
Yeah.
Optimize Brock. Optimize your offense. Like stop trying to work around it by having the best defense. You don't have to have the best defense. How many Super Bowl winners have you have to have one of the best offenses, and the Niners are approaching that. They just have to embrace it. All right, let's do a little bet US. Okay? Stick right here with the MVP odds. As we know, Brock Purdy has vaulted himself to number one with the win over the Eagles. It was a career-defining win.
It was.
Big-time win. He's plus 325. Like, Jalen Hurts is kind of like He's third now because it was such a humiliating loss. The Niners really showed the blueprint on him and then sort of rubbed it in his face. Did you hear what Nick Bosa said real quick yesterday about defending Jalen Hurts?
No, say it again.
He said, all you have to do is keep him in the pocket. He looks at the rush. All he wants to do is find the escape route through a B gap. He's not fast enough to go out the back.
No.
He needs to go out a B gap, and he's looking at the rush. And if you give him that escape route, then he kills you. I mean, that's essentially what Nick Bosa said. It was a real slap in the face. Like, he's a gimmick quarterback is what he said. Anyway, that's his take on Jalen Hurts. Dak Prescott second. Brock Purdy first. Do you think Brock Purdy's going to win this award? I feel like it's a bad time to bet on him. I feel like his stock is higher than it's ever been.
I don't know if he's going to win it. We've got 5 more weeks to go. I'll tell you this right now. If he keeps performing this way, it's all but one. It's his. But right now, man, I do. I see maybe Patrick Mahomes, but I don't think nobody's hotter than us. Man, we're hot. I don't like maybe Dak Prescott, but the Cowboys are cheeks. Like they're not
cheeks.
They are cheeks.
See, what I think, I'm not good at wagering. I'm not really, but I feel like if you wanted to hedge your bets here, you could put something on Brock, but you're not going to get that much because he's the odds-on favorite. But you could also put a little money on Stroud, who's plus 2,500, because to me, that's a guy who's a dark horse candidate. He's won 4 of his last 5. Mm-hmm. He's 7-5 with Houston. If he wins double-digit games, like you can make a real argument that he's doing more with less. A rookie who took a 3-win team and made him a 10-win team, an 11-win team, that would be incredible. So he hasn't done it yet, but he has won 4 of his last 5, and I feel like you can make a bigger argument for him he's leading the league in passing yards, I believe. Let me see. Let me make sure. Let me make the case for CJ Stroud real quick. He's leading the league in passing yards. He has 1 fewer pick than Brock, and he has 3 fewer touchdown passes than Brock. He's leading the league in yards per game at 295 on Houston. Throwing to Nico Collins and Tank Dell. Didn't Tank Dell just get hurt? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, Tank
Dell. That would be one too. I feel like Stroud should get more consideration, man. That team is a good story. He's a good story.
Yeah. I mean, he's throwing at 63%, averaging 8.5, 295 a game. Only 5 picks with 20 TDs. I mean, with a one-on-one pass.
He's carrying that team.
He's
carrying that team.
One thing about CJ Stroud that's kind of crazy is that if you go and look at like his attempts, like for his games, his opening game, dude, he threw for over 40 times. Like that's the thing about CJ Stroud that's impressive to me is like they are not protecting him. Like they're like, get out there.
No, and they don't have a running game. Like they have Devin Singletary who's averaging 4.1 yards per carry and Dameon Pierce who's averaging 3 yards a carry. Like it's him. This is what we're talking about when we say like, hey, what would Brock do in these situations? Like we're seeing a rookie win games in this situation. It's quite impressive. I think he should at least be second. Plus 2,500. That's ridiculous. Maybe he's just not. Maybe it's smart because the media or people who vote for it don't have him on their radar, but he should be. Freaking shit.
I mean, he's thrown for 40 times. He's thrown for 40 times over 3 times this season. He threw for 44 week 1, 47 week 2.
Yeah. Can you imagine if he were on Philly? They'd be so much better. Can you imagine if he were on Dallas? Like, I don't know, man.
He's talented, man.
He's talented. Not that many quarterbacks could do what he's doing on Houston right now. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, but fresh out the gate too. I mean,
I think that's
Carolina's
a good bet.
Got everybody. That's why, dude. Honestly, he got everybody in Carolina fired, not Bryce Young.
That's right. Anyway, if you guys want to place a wager, go to BetUS. Click the link in the description. Receive 125% sign up bonus right there. I like looking at those odds. The MVP stuff. And on BetUS, which is cool. Like they're updated quick. The game will be over and it'll be all like that night. There'll be all new odds, which is a fun way to like track it. Okay. Niners signed Logan Ryan. And right away, you're like, I don't really know what to make of this. Maybe he won't factor in. But then you realize he's a vet. He's moving across the country. He doesn't have to do this. He has plenty of money. I think all of a sudden, all eyes go to the rookie, Jair Brown, who wasn't really supposed to be in this position. It was supposed to be Talanoa. Now this is a Super Bowl contending team, and all I know is Jair Brown missed a couple tackles in this last game, had a couple coverage busts, a couple moments where he wasn't where he's supposed to be or wasn't doing what he's supposed to do, and now Logan Ryan's here. And I don't know, maybe the Niners, you know how they are with young players, they get nervous. I wonder, like, what are you seeing from Jair Brown? Like, should they be nervous? Should they hedge their bets here, or is he ready to go for this stretch run?
Well, Jair Brown is game. Okay, he's got heart. I don't want to disparage the young man, and he eagerly wants to play. So that much is there. He's heady. I don't necessarily see him in bad positions on the field, but he loses himself at times trying to watch what is happening instead of reacting. He's not reacting as fast. And that says that there might be a little bit of a gap in knowledge. And that's not necessarily knowledge in from a mental capacity, but knowledge from muscle memory, knowing about angles and gaps, feeling out the game speed of the NFL. Those are all true things that take a while. And you got to play some reps on a consistent basis for you to even like calibrate that out. And also, I feel as though that Coach Wilkes probably loved that they were able to get him on the field so they can get some real fresh tape on him, right? Practice film after a while just kind of gets old, still rehashing over the same old things that you're messing up at. But seeing a live body can change some things, right? Now, let's get to what's clear off the bat. He doesn't have his man body yet. He's a little too small. He plays way more physical than his body will lend him, if that makes sense. So you see him trying to come down and deliver blows. He's not afraid to be there. He's the first to the party when it comes to gang tackling or exactly tackling his man. But he just doesn't get guys on the ground. He's not wrapping up. Those are some technique things that he can fix. But you can see that he continuously does that because he does not trust his technique, right? On one hand, you can say, hey, man, this is a little bit of a habit that you have where when you're coming down on ball carriers, you're running into them. You're not necessarily tackling them. You coach that up and then you can fix it. But then you start realizing when they're doing it off of muscle memory, it's something that they've almost injected into their play style as a coping mechanism or as a crutch, right? So he's hitting like that and he's missing tackles because he doesn't trust the fact that I can open up my chest, drive through, and get a man to the ground. And he's missing tackles as a result of it. Early on in the game, AJ Brown ran right through him in a tackle. There was another time where Devontae Smith caught a third down. I think it was a third down bubble, a screen pass. Devontae Smith caught that thing and ran right over Jair Brown's ass. And that just goes to show you the difference, right? This is one of Devontae Smith is all heart, but one thing that we know is that he's not necessarily an imposing frame or a body, right? And the fact that showed you just a small piece of what the NFL has to show you with ball carriers who know the strength of the game and the physicality of the game. And that's some of the things where you can see why we didn't see him right away, where the game may be a little too big for him. Now, Logan Ryan, I don't know if Logan Ryan is actually going to come in and play safety for us, but he is a voice in the room. Okay. He is somebody that can give us more added depth. And honestly, I think it's something that isn't really an answer for Jair Brown. But if you remember, they were kicking the tires on Jason Verrett earlier, and I don't think that panned out. So I feel as though that they're still trying to figure out that role of that veteran guy who can still come in at nickel if
Jimmy Ward.
Yeah. Or or come in or get put on the outside. So I don't see it as a Jair Brown contingency plan. I see it more as a continuation of what they didn't get done with Jason Verrett. They want another veteran guy there.
Yeah. Well, look, if they feel a little shaky about Jair Brown, they're not going to let, potentially Patrick Mahomes exploit him in the Super Bowl, or Mike McDaniel and Tua and Tyreek Hill. Like, there are reasons to be kind of concerned about the back end of your defense, maybe not right now, but down the line. So, Logan Ryan won't be ready for a while. Jair Brown isn't getting benched anytime soon. Logan Ryan doesn't even know the defense, but if he keeps missing tackles, blowing coverages, and they feel like he's just not ready for a Super Bowl. If you remember, I mean, in the Super Bowl, they lost because Emmanuel Mosley had a breakdown. Tavarius Moore had a breakdown. Like there were some DBs who weren't quite ready for the moment, who faltered. And if that's Jair Brown, then bringing a vet. Also, Richard Sherman did too.
Yeah. Also, and then you got to look at you could tell that they're worried about if they're thinking long term, which they should be. They're one of the best teams in the league, if not the best. But you can tell that they're thinking like, man, all right, if it all does go down, I feel like they have the guys on their offensive line where they're like, okay, we got John Feliciano, we got Il Manning in the back, we got Jaylen Brown and Matt Pryor, right? We got these guys, okay? On defensive line, we fixed that issue. We're deep, okay? The only thing about us is that if we get injured, we'll regress to what we were, but at least we'll still be competent near the end of the season. Corner, we got these guys finally playing good, but I think losing Huff kind of woke them up to what are we really going to do at safety? Like if we lose Gipp at safety, then we're completely compromised on the back end. We don't have anybody that's a huge fall off, right? True. So for them, I feel as though that they got quarterback. Yeah. They got quarterback sewed up. Yeah. Receiver, running back, good. That's why we haven't seen JP Mason. They're using him sparingly. They're preparing for the long haul. Now we
might see JP Mason now. Because Elijah Mitchell's got a sore knee, so we might actually see a fresh Jordan Mason. What a weapon down the stretch. Errol Tolbert says, good morning, fellas. Good morning, Errol. Chris Tallarico says if they win the Super Bowl, every player over 30 will be on retirement watch. They will have the money to do both, but they'll probably just extend Chase because that's what this team does. We'll see, man. If Chris Kasarik is yelling at them already about effort, they may not. They let Arden Key go. I think they understand that these guys are replaceable, and this is a destination for these.
Cleveland Farrell was a high pick guy. Arden Key was a high pick guy. Like he doesn't like this is just what we do.
Yeah. Maynard Keenan says BA won't be used enough to justify the money. They should change that. Again, change your identity. You don't have to be the run first defense team that you were with Jimmy Garoppolo. That's the kind of stuff you do when you don't have the real deal at quarterback, which you do now. And the weapons. Commit to it. Unless he's not the real deal. It seems like he is. Matthew Sanders says, I'm waving the magic wand and poof, you guys are king of the Pro Bowl. Which Niners get in this series? BA on it, BP, forget Moneyball, performance only. Aiyuk for sure.
Yeah, Pro Bowls, damn near our whole team Pro Bowl.
Kittle, yes. I don't know about Debo, although he's got 5 weeks left. He's making a push.
He's coming.
He's coming, so you can't count him out. Warner, yes.
Dre Greenlaw, possibly fringe.
Yes.
Nick Bosa, yes.
Yes.
Javon Hargrave, yes. Purdy, yes.
Yes.
Christian McCaffrey, yes. Brandon Aiyuk,
use check always.
Always. Jesus. He's like the stenographer of the NFL. He just has to be there.
I would say no on Charvarius Ward. I love that. I would say no on Charvarius Ward, although he's been like Debo, he's been coming on strong now.
Yeah, Charvarius Ward is making the name for himself because he's getting the matchups.
He's got 5 games left, and he's really been doing a great job. So a lot of players. Mike Drops with Monza says, my CMC comp has been a slightly slower LT. Dude.
No. LT was nah.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
People realize how raw LT was, bro.
Yeah, he was 215 pounds. He was 5'10", 215. Like McCaffrey's 6 feet 200. McCaffrey is he even 2 feet? I don't know. He's kind of smaller. 5'11", 205. Hey, listen at 5'11", 205. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, LT was raw.
I mean, McCaffrey's smaller than Marshall Faulk. McCaffrey is little. Like he had NFL coaches thinking, we can't run you between the tackles. He's surprisingly good.
No, what was Chris Thompson's numbers? Let me check that out.
Chris Thompson on Washington, 25.
Yeah, Chris Thompson. Yeah,
it's like that. Mike Drops with Monta says Aiyuk's money wouldn't kick in until Debo is off the books. Debo is not going to get a second deal. CMC has 1 more year at this pace anyway. Yeah, they're going to keep him. They're going to keep Aiyuk for sure. Rob
Yeah.
Watson says Bosa's telling us who can and can't play quarterback for real, for real. Dude, one of my favorite things is asking Bosa about the upcoming quarterback or the previous quarterback because he just doesn't care, and he'll say it. He doesn't speak in code.
He can't. I'm gonna tell you right now. That's what I felt about Jalen before. I feel like Jalen is kind of being manufactured in a way.
Yeah.
Where he's physical enough and dynamic enough to carry a team like that. But honestly speaking, I'm an NFC East baby. I've been out here for years, my whole life. This is one of the most talented Eagles teams ever.
Yeah.
Like they are loaded. They've never really been this talented. Maybe in the T.O. and McNabb years, maybe. But outside of that, even when Chip Kelly was there and they had McNabb, they had Michael Vick at the time, they weren't this loaded. So I see what they asked Jalen to do, and it's not much. The offense really isn't complicated. It's a pretty simple offense. And a lot of it is predicated on them just being bigger, stronger, and faster than everybody. But when they play a team that matches that, and it's like, okay, well, now you have to actually play football, they struggle. And so does Jalen.
And it's like, David Carr got a lot of attention for saying that the Eagles should go with Marcus Mariota right now. I think that's kind of what Bosa is saying is like, look, this guy, if you just keep him in the pocket, he could have the best offensive line in the league. He does. He could have all the time in the world. He did. We weren't rushing him. We were keeping him there, saying stay there and read the defense. And
be a quarterback.
And he wouldn't. Bosa literally said he looks at the rush, which is something like, college quarterbacks aren't supposed to do. You look at the rush. You're supposed to keep it. Purdy doesn't look at the rush.
He can't afford to.
No. So, that's really alarming with him. Anyway, good stuff, Bosa. Mike drops with Montes' biggest feat in Stroud's season. His entire O-line is hurt, some second stringers and third, and he wins 4 of the last 5. Most valuable player to a single team. He needs to be in the conversation.
He does.
It's crazy.
I agree. Okay, so if we're talking about
the Houston Texans,
that's flat out the player, exactly. Yeah. If we're talking about flat out the player, yes, CJ Stroud is by far and away the MVP right now. He's a rookie and he's won 4 of the last 5. He's hands down being given the full keys to the offense, and he's making everybody around him better. I don't even know who the hell Nico, whoever, or Tank Dell was before CJ Stroud. I had no idea who these guys are. So,
and think about it. Like, if he were on the Cowboys and the Texans roster were the Cowboys, and it was, they had three wins last year, and D'Amico takes over and they draft CJ Stroud, it would be the number 1 story in football. But it happens on the Texans and no one cares. That's why I always feel like Dak is overrated, man. You put Dak on any other team, no one would care. But whoever's the quarterback of the Cowboys is a celebrity or is better than they are. They just get talked about so much. He's a good player, but is he the second? Should he be above Stroud for the MVP? Like, no, not to me. Absolutely not.
No. CJ Stroud, really, if you look at what he's being asked to do, how he's performing, he's by far and away the MVP. And we're not even talking about the fact that he's a lock for Rookie of the Year. Like, come on. You know what I'm saying?
What an addition to the
league. He's
league.
A lock. Yeah.
Dude, this guy's going to be one of the faces of the league. And he should be, soon he will be once he proves himself. But he's going to be on all the freaking State Farm commercials, and it's a big deal. They need more good quarterbacks because
we better pay BA, man. Because with a guy like that, they're going to try to find him. I'm sorry. I know Tank Dell was a good story, but they're going to try to find him his Jamar Chase, his Justin Jefferson. They're going to get him his guy.
Like now. Because they can afford it. Yeah.
BA could be right over there.
They might make the Niners an offer they can't refuse.
Bobby Slowick is the OC over there. Everybody knows what we do. Like, don't be surprised, guys.
James Welsh says, I have a reckless strategy. Get rid of CMC and see what Purdy looks like. You may fully collapse, but you could save a lot of money in the future. That's reckless, James. We're here to win. As quality control, I cannot recommend doing that. Chris Tallarico says CJ is going to get the offensive rookie of the year. That's why he's plus 2,500. How about both? Why is there a rule? Like, how come Tyreek Hill can be the offensive player of the year, but not the MVP? Like, why would he not be both? I don't know.
Yeah.
Jaquaski Tart drop, says Mark. Just Jaquaski Tart drop. Official BNM Music 88 says Brock's success highlights how much Jimmy held this team back. He made 147 M's being fool's gold and had people putting the cape on for him more than wow. And he fed We should have had 2
He's a
rings.
wild boy.
Hilarious. Francisco says, how would BA look with Jetta's targets on this team?
Jettas.
With Justin Jefferson's targets?
I'll be
who's Jetta?
I don't know who Jetta is. Maybe Justin Jefferson.
I meant Kiara Mia, but he probably yikes. You're getting me in trouble, man. Brandon Green says, did our D-line run into a wall or not rush on purpose? They did not rush on purpose.
Yeah.
Bosa was talking about it.
Yeah, they kept the rush lanes in front of him. They did a very good, and you know what? Also, that type of rush really kind of conserves energy because they really didn't have to get home, right? And they still got home.
They
right?
just were two gapping essentially. Like we're not letting you. And I've talked about it a lot. You don't want to let a quarterback scramble through the B gap, and that's when the defensive end rushes past the quarterback. Essentially, he can just step up and out. That is so easy, man. Like Tom Brady can be mobile on those kind of plays. If you make the guy run all the way around, who can do that? Kyler, young Russell Wilson, no one. Very few people can actually pull that off. It's like college. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's like college shit, but nobody can really actually do it. Like and Michael Vick didn't even do it.
Jetta is Justin Jefferson. Y'all old. I got it. I guessed, but I am kind of old. All right, moving on. All of a sudden, Javon Kinlaw is back in the spotlight. You know, he was first round pick, didn't live up to the draft status, but was hurt. Hurt for like 3 years. This year, he's been healthy the whole time, found a role as sort of like Eric Armstead's backup, but now Armstead's out for a week and a half or a week or two. And it looks like Javon Kinlaw will be starting, and the Niners are going to be relying on him. He's having a good year, especially as a pass rusher. Now he's going to have to be a complete player, or he could be in a platoon. But man, this is a great opportunity for him to sort of put all the previous 3 years behind him and create an entirely new narrative about who he is and what his future is. How do you think Javon Kinlaw getting inserted into the starting lineup could change things?
I think it'd be good for him. He's earned it. I mean, and he stayed low. One thing that I like about Javon is that he's an extremely hard worker, right? One thing is that even when he was going through his injury issues, he always did his part. Transformed his body, lost weight, and looked amazing. Gained weight, looked great. He's always had a good. You can always tell that he's been warring with himself on wanting to do more. So you could almost say that this is kind of an opportunity for him that is a bit ordained, right? Everybody knows, or everybody should know, that Eric Armstead is one of Javon Kinlaw's mentors. They're very close. And you not only coming in to back up your OG or your homie, is going to be something for you not only to prove to yourself that you deserve the spot, but it's a rite of passage because Eric Armstead is going to be on the sideline watching you play. This is a huge opportunity for Javon Kinlaw. And this is what's beautiful about football, because it's the game within the game, right? This is something where not only is he getting his chance to show that I am the type of player that can play more than 20 snaps. I'm not a package guy. I can give you the full complement of what a defensive lineman is supposed to give this team at an elite level with stopping the run and being a pass rusher. But I get to back up my mentor, the guy who sought me through, who has given me counsel, who's taught me basically essentially how to be a pro. And he's turning on. If everything went the same way this season, where Javon was backing up Eric Armstead and coming in as a spot guy, I think that they will be thrilled with the trajectory if they kept it just right here. Now he's got the opportunity to go 10x, right? Now you get a chance to start for 2 weeks, prove that not only are you should you be here, but we can kind of revitalize the real story about why Javon Kinlaw got drafted, and that was to replace DeForest Buckner. That's what he got drafted for. So we're here to see him not only step into his rightful position on the team, back up one of his mentors. He should be motivated that way. He's always been a hard worker, but now we just have to see it. And let's get to the football side of it. The football side
go ahead.
No, go.
I want to say real quick, like what's interesting about his season that he's having is he's making his impact as a pass rusher primarily. When he came out of college, the book on him was great athlete, solid against the run, a rock against the run, but needs to develop his pass rush a little bit.
Right.
But now he's a force as a pass rusher, has been. I think he'll be able to give the Niners a lot of what Eric Armstead gives them on third down. My question is run defense, because pad level has been a little bit of an issue with him. I think we've seen him get moved a little bit, at least last year, at times this year in the run game. He's playing next to Javon Hargrave, who's not really a run defender him either. So what is the Niners' interior run defense going to look like? Not just with Kinlaw on the field, but without Armstead, because Armstead is an elite run defender. And
he does it all.
I don't know what Kinlaw is as a run defender. He hasn't shown enough. I don't know what he is, period. But I just feel like this year he's shown more as a pass rusher. And now if they do have two non-run defenders in the middle, that's an issue. And they have someone like Kalia Davis who might be able to step in and be in a platoon. That's another guy to look at, is Kalia Davis. He played in this last game and he made an impact right away. It's a little bit, I think maybe, pad level might be less of an issue with him.
Right. So for me, this is how I see it. Sometimes the numbers can be a bit misleading, right? So you're right. It does show that Javon is having a much better year being a pass rusher than he is.
I'm just going off my eye test. I could be totally wrong on this one.
Right. No, but what you're saying, the numbers do bear out. I'm looking at it.
Okay. Okay.
But also you got to realize that Javon is also playing in a package role, right? So when are we mostly seeing Javon? We're seeing Javon probably on third downs, probably second downs, but first downs, third and longs, downs you got to have it. He's probably not on the field. So a lot of what he probably is in there to do is he sees a lot more pass plays than he does rushing plays, staying in the flow of the game. Honestly speaking, I've seen Javon struggle, but most of my issues with him is struggling against the pass, like being an actual pass rusher. And he seems to have really had an uptick in that area of his game. I never really had a problem with him being a run defender. There's some games where it was just getting bad, like the Eagles game last year. A couple of games where it was bad. He was getting thrown around. But I feel like I tab that more under uninspired football than I do his actual talent level.
So he's playing hurt.
Yeah.
He was playing hurt. And I think one thing with him, it's like, if he ever could have an extended period of health, he would improve. And we're literally seeing it. It's wonderful because he's talented. He's driven. They have a great D-line coach. It was just like, could you be healthy for an extended period of time? And it took him until this year. And the answer is yes. And you're seeing results. Like, he's a great story. Ambry Thomas is a great story. Young players kind of written off who in year 3, year 4 are just show that maybe I was a late bloomer, or maybe I was just injured. Maybe I just had a lot of pressure on me. 2 guys who have like really had retribution this year. Good for them.
Yeah. They have, man. They really picked up their play. I'm impressed with what Ambry is just, who would have thought, man? Who would have thought?
Not I would have given Kinlaw more of a hope than Ambry. With Kinlaw, I understood, man, you just got to stay healthy. You just got to stay healthy. I'm not sure that you can. But Ambry, I'm like, man, I think you don't got it.
Yeah.
But no, you need a coach.
Yeah. This is showing what coaching really can do. Ambry Thomas, the biggest, what just sticks out to me, and I don't even know if it's anything. It may be nothing, honestly. But one of the biggest moments that sticks out to me is when Ambry Thomas gets that scoop and score that got called back for a touchdown, the forced fumble and the scoop and score. And he goes to the sideline. It was Wilkes' first game on the sideline. And him and Wilkes are having an exchange. And you can see Ambry Thomas, his body language is like, I told you, like, I got you. Like, I'm here. I got you. It was one of those, you could tell it was like one of those big exhale moments for him where he not only made a play, but he was physical. He hopped on the ball, damn near scored. And it probably was like a validation moment for him to prove all of the conversations that he's probably had with Coach Wilkes. I'm happy for Ambry. He's playing with a shit ton of confidence too. I think Demo's wearing off on him, to be honest with you.
All right, man. I just got a text, not a text, an email. Okay. And it's from Thomas Luttrell. There's people who just email me. and I want to give him some love. Thomas Luttrell says, all caps, CMC is Thurman Thomas. He goes, next time you get the CMC question, go with this. You're a couple years younger than me, so you might not have seen him play. Watch his highlight tape. You'll see it. Thurman Thomas, Buffalo Bills running back with Jim Kelly. He was the MVP in 1991. Did you know that? He was the freaking MVP in 1991, 2,000 yards from scrimmage, 12 touchdowns.
Thurman Thomas was a dog.
Thurman Thomas. Okay.
Thurman Thomas with the box. He used to wear the box face mask.
Thurman Thomas. Yeah, it was before my time, man. I got to go back. Was he the one who lost his helmet in the Super Bowl, or was that someone else?
No, I believe that was him.
That was him, right? He lost his helmet. Thurman Thomas.
Thurman Thomas was amazing.
Helmet.
Bro.
Until you for the third time. Yep. Okay. All right. Hold on.
He lost the Super Bowl. That's I think he was he a part of all 4 Super Bowls they lost? I believe he was.
Probably was. He was. Matthew Sanders says, Grant may also suggest that the Niners can save 15% of their car insurance by switching to Geico. Facepalm, keep CMC. He's a generational talent. He's not going anywhere. Kudos to Armstead after Kinlaw spoke on him. Awesome. Kudos for sure. Purple Baby Skunk says Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs part 2 in Super Bowl. Revenge Tour part 26.
Okay.
City Bird says Niners plus 370 to win the Super Bowl. Good value. I mean, nah. You would add better value doing it last week before they beat the Eagles. You kind of missed your chance. But I mean, it's better than nothing considering they're probably going to win it. Did I say that? Maynard Keenan says sacks and DB play has increased tenfold since Young. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I mean, so tenfold is I understand you're not being specific, but for me, it's more of the depth that we need versus what he actually gives us. You know, Nick Bosa can't operate at a high level playing 60 snaps a game. These guys it's not the same NFL, man, where these guys can play for 4 straight quarters. In order for them to come off the ball and keep that type of speed and veracity to go after their quarterback, they need a blow. All right. Nick Bosa needs to be playing 40 snaps at most in a game if you want him to be Nick Bosa. Outside of that, you're just going to be watching millionaires jog around with lactic acid in their muscles. That's it. You know what I'm saying?
Coach.
They're not endurance athletes. They're not.
It's an interesting point. Yeah, they really don't do. Yeah, it's a good point. Coach, it's 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern. I got a couple more topics, but we could stop. I know you got a hard stop at 1. You got to go? We can stop?
Yeah, I got to go in. I got to go there. I have to go.
Okay. That's the show. Thank you that's all good. It was a great show. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm going down to Santa Clara now. They have a later day today. Brock Purdy be talking around 4 o'clock. So stay tuned. We'll see what he has to say about no one cares about the Seahawks. That's how you know. I don't know. Like you go down there and none of the questions are about the upcoming opponent. So that's neither here nor there. Coach got to go. I got to go.
Oh, Thanks for watching. Let's go. I can go 30.
You can go 30?
I can go 30.
All right, let's do 10.
Let's go 10. Let's go. 10.
All right. Are the Niners out of the woods? Four wins in a row. That 3-game winning streak seems like it never happened. Like it was a fever dream. Are they out of the woods?
No, they're not out of the woods. They're not out of the woods. I mean, we got validation. Okay. We got validity over saying that we were a better team than the Eagles and that what they did to us last year wasn't exactly who we are as a football team in a franchise. Okay. Yeah, that's valid. We got that. Deebo Samuel saying that James Bradbury is trash and that these boys need to get exposed in the pass game. Whatever floats your boat. Valid. Mm-hmm. We didn't confirm anything. There was no confirmation whatsoever. We're still not number 1 seed. We still need to finish out the rest of our games to be playoff bound. We still have to hope for another loss with the Eagles because we don't control our own destiny. Okay. And we still have to stay healthy throughout the year. All right. And win our own games. Right. So we're not out the woods by far. All 42 points that we scored last week, we can't take none of that shit with us. It's got to stay where we left it. So, no, we got validation, but we didn't get confirmation, right? And that's the thing. Like, you can announce plans or confirm arrivals. Those are 2 different things, right? And announcing plans is cool, right? You can tell somebody what you're going to do and show somebody what you're going to do the whole time. But once you confirm the arrival, once the job is done, then that's when we need to really understand that we've reached our goal. If there's anything that you want to think about with this team, just think about the interview of Kobe Bryant versus the Orlando Magic when they're up 3-0 after the game, and he's not happy at all at the fact that they're up 3-0 or 3-1 to the Orlando Magic. And the interviewer asks Kobe, he says, well, what's up, man? Like, why aren't you excited? Why do you seem so subdued? Why aren't you cheering? And Kobe's like, why? We're up. He's like, well, you're up 3-1. He's like, so? Job's not done. What is there to be excited about? We didn't finish the job. That's the attitude that we need to still carry. The win was cool. Running back the mic'd ups and going over to your favorite Eagles content creation page to go troll, all of that's great. Do what you need to do. But at the end of the day, the job is not done.
Yeah. I'm still looking at Thurman Thomas. Sorry. So I'm looking at 1991. All right. So hold on. This is crazy. So 1991, Thurman Thomas was the MVP. Do you know who was second in the MVP voting? Can you guess who was second in the MVP voting in 1991?
91 MVP.
I can give you a hint. You should know where I'm going with this. He's on Thurman Thomas's team.
Jim Kelly?
Yes. So that team had 1 and 2 in the MVP voting. That could be the Niners this year. McCaffrey 1, Purdy 2. Just like the 1991, because Jim Kelly was great in 91. But they decided this was Thurman Thomas was the number 1 guy. I don't know. Maybe they were wrong. That's how it went 22 years ago.
Okay. Look at you with the more you know.
But maybe that was just a quirk of 1991. Like maybe if that team had existed today, Jim Kelly would be the MVP and Thurman Thomas would be the runner-up. Just because the world has changed so much in the last 32 years. The whole world has changed. The whole world.
We're in it. You know what I'm saying?
We're in the world. It's crazy. What a time. All right, let's get these last super chats and bounce. City Bird says, should Forster get more props for the O-line?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He should.
Yeah,
he should. We got to be as loud in our condemnation as we are in our praise. He should.
Eaglet and Coach says, it's Aiyuk, not even close.
We're not. Come on, brother. Yo, Brother Bobby off the top. He's always off the third turnbuckle, man.
Why?
He's always jumping off the third rope.
Robbie Gold announces retirement, Hall of Fame kicker.
Amen.
He was waiting for Jake Moody to mess up. Sorry, Robbie.
Hasn't happened, Robbie.
You were, though. It had to. Sorry, man. Enjoy it. Enjoy the Windy City.
Right.
Enjoy being a dad and all that good stuff. He wanted to get into the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he's going to make it. But I'm rooting for you, buddy. All right, everyone, have a good one. And I will see you later. Take care.